A true and faithful relation of what passed for many years between Dr. John D. and some spirits. Right, Honorable Sir, albeit I have almost in vain come 100 miles from Prague to this Leipzig mart, hoping either to meet my servant there with answer to my former letters sent in November last to Her Majesty, which also I wrote unto your honor, and divers other, and so with speed from this Leipzig to have sent again most speedily as occasion should have served. And now I find neither servant, neither letter from him, neither word of mouth, yet all this notwithstanding, and whatsoever the hindrance or delay hereof be, whether the keeping back of my letters from Her Majesty or the manifold and importance most weighty affairs public hindering, or delaying Her Majesty's most gracious, discreet, and wise resolution herein, or what other occasion else hath and doth cause this long and wonderful delay of answer receiving. All this notwithstanding, I thought good before I set up my coach to visit, and most humbly to salute your honor very faithfully, dutifully, and sincerely, with great and the same goodwill that my letter some years since written to your honor. But then a stumbling block unto your honor and other, for the strangeness of the phrases therein doth pretend so it is right honorable that the merciful providence of the highest declared in his great and abundant graces upon me and mine is so wonderful and mighty that very few, unless they be present witness, can believe the same. Therefore, how hard they are to be believed there, where all my life and doings were construed to a contrary sense, and process of death contrived and decreed against the innocent, who cannot easily judge. I am forced to be brief. That which England suspected was also here, for these 2 years almost secretly in doubt, in question, and consultation, imperial and royal, by honorable espies, fawning about me, and by other discoursed upon, pried and peered into, and at length both the chief Romish power, and imperial dignity are brought to that point resolutely that partly they are sorry of their so late reclaiming their erroneous judgment against us and of us, and seek means to deal with us so as we might favor both the one and the other, and partly to Rome is sent for as great authority and power as can be devised, and likewise here all other means and ways contrived, how by force or for fear they may make us glad to follow their humours, but all in vain, for force humane we fear not, as plainly and often I have to the princes declared, and otherwise than in pure verity and godliness we will not favour any. My words may seem very marvellous in your honour's ears, but mark the end. We have had, and shall have, to deal with no babes. I have full oft, and upon many of the requests and questions, referred myself to Her Majesty's answer, thus in vain expected. Nuncius Apostolicus Germanicus Malaspina, after his year's suit unto me to be acquainted with me, at length had such as answer, that he is gone to Rome with a flea in his ear, that disquieteth him, and terrifieth the whole state, Romish and Jesuitical. Secretly they threaten us violent death, and openly they fawn upon us. We know the sting of envy, and the fury of the fear in tyrannical minds, what desperate attempts they have and do often undertake. But the God of heaven and earth is our light, leader, and defender. To the world's end, his mercies upon us will bread his praises, honor, and glory. This much very rhapsodically, yet faithfully, tanquam dictum japiente, I thought good to commit to the safe and speedy conveyance of a young merchant here called Lawrence Overton, which if it come to your honour's hand before my servant have his dispatch, I shall or may by your honour be advertised. Your honour is sufficient from her majesty to deal and proceed with me, if it be thought good. But if you make a counsel, table case of it, quat homines tot sentia, and my commission from above is not so large, que potest capere capiet. Sir, I trust I shall have justice for my house, liberty, goods, and revenues, and so on. Do not you disdain, neither fear nor bear favor unto your poor innocent neighbor. If you send unto me Master Thomas Digges in her majesty's behalf, his faithfulness to her majesty, and my well-liking of the man, shall bring forth some piece of good service. But her majesty had been better to have spent or given away in alms 1,000,000 of gold than to have lost some opportunities past. No human reason can limit or determine God, his marvelous means of proceeding with us. He hath made of Saul, Edward Kelly, a Paul, but yet now and then visited with a pang of human frailty. The Almighty bless her majesty, both in this world and eternally, and inspire your heart with some conceiving of his merciful purpose, yet not utterly cut off from her majesty in joy. From Leipzig, I don't know if it's Leipzig or Leipzig, this 14 of May, 1586, at Peter Hans Swart's house, your honour's faithful well-willer to use and commands for the honour of God and her majesty's best service, John D. To the Honourable Sir Francis Walsingham Knight, her most excellent majesty's principal secretary, my singular good friend and patron with speed and illust. Oh, that's the next letter that we come across here. But if we remember the letter unto D, he was saying, I'm not too good with Latin. I'm going to trust you with that. I'm going to trust you with some other things too. But I've after my schooling, I really didn't keep up with it, basically. Because conveying things in Latin, it wasn't just pretentious. It was, well, they were proving their status to each other, but less people could read it than the English or Italian or whatever people actually spoke in the area. So there'd be a chance that if the communication was intercepted, that it couldn't be understood for those reasons.